Hi everyone, and thanks for watching the video. My name is Petr. I'm the Business Development Manager in the agency team here in New York, and with me in the studio is Jenna Hauca, who's the Director of Digital and Innovation over at Generator Media, one of our premier partners. And today we're going to be talking about what are some of the challenges for traditional brands moving into the digital space. But before we do that, Jenna, do you mind introducing yourself and the agency a little bit?
Sure. So I'm Jenna. I work at Generator Media and Analytics. We're a full-service media agency located near Grand Central in New York City. There's about 75 of us occupying 3 floors in our building. We really don't specialize in any particular vertical. We work on clients ranging from CPG to OTC, finance, pharma, you name it. And really, we're founded on the principle of providing full visibility to our clients in order to help them achieve their business goals and grow as a business.
What are some of the things where you feel you really stand out as an agency, especially with regards to the digital marketing?
Yeah, sure. So I think that, it's a little bit what I was alluding to of providing kind of a business consultant role to our clients. A lot of our clients come to us through venture capital firms or private equity, and really all they care about at the end of the day is building the business, and media is the lever of how to get there. So one of the ways we really try to execute that is through our analytics specialty. You'll see it in our name. If you're in our offices, you'll see the analytics team that sit on the 11th floor. It's something we put a lot of time and effort into, and as we'll speak about later, plan to continue to build out.
It's interesting that you also mentioned that this year, for the first time ever, your digital billings will surpass your traditional media billings. And we've been seeing a lot of brands go through the same transition here at Google. And I think it brings a very specific set of challenges, and some of them we're going to talk about today. And one thing that you mentioned was brand measurement. Yeah. Which I thought was interesting because digital advertising gives you this abundance of data and metrics that you can look at. So can you tell us a bit more about how do you think about brand measurement at Generator?
Because a lot of our clients specialize in branding and a lot are direct response, there's usually one of two challenges we're seeing. Mm-hmm. Half of our clients with super traditional, kind of coming from the world of TV and print, understand that they need to tap more into digital, but are not quite sure how to do it or how to measure it. Mm-hmm. And we also have these direct response advertisers who measure everything off the last click and want that instant gratification, that are seeing that that's not a scalable approach and they need to really hop into the world of brand advertising. And really where we've seen that converge is with online video, because it is able to in some ways bridge both of those gaps. But the biggest, hottest topic has been how do we measure that?
And I know that you've used a tool called BrandLift to measure some of the online video campaigns for one of your luxury accounts. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah, sure. So one of our clients, it's really interesting, they're called the Diamond Producers Association, and you might remember them from the commercials in the 1990s or early 2000s, the diamond is forever. Really, they're coming and trying to change perception of diamonds and re-engage a new audience of millennials to understand, that real is rare and it's not necessarily your grandma's diamond anymore. So what we set out to do was execute an online video campaign and measure the lift in brand awareness as well as interest in the category and the brand. So we did this through a number of YouTube products, including TrueView, Google Preferred, and reservation buys, and measured the lift in exposed viewers versus unexposed. And what we saw was very interesting in that, as expected, brand awareness did increase about 30%. But some of the insights we gained is really where we were able to collaborate with the client. So things like, what is the optimal frequency for running video? What creatives perform the best? And it's really those insights that make it efficient. There's some other tools we use as well, including Nielsen and ComScore. But the great thing about the brand lift studies is how real time the data comes in and how easy it is to optimize your media in real time.
Great. And I know that this study also had a search element to it. Can you tell us a bit more about what the results were in the search space?
Yeah, so what was super interesting, and Google is able to help us measure this since they have access to all the search data, is that people who viewed these ads not only searched more frequently for branded or campaign-related keywords, which are up 300%, but they also searched more for the category. Double-digit growth in queries related to diamonds or engagement rings, and that really goes back to the client's goals of changing perception of diamond and generating new interest.
That's remarkable, and also leads me to my next area that I want to talk about, which is search for brands, right? Mm-hmm. And I know you feel very strongly about this. A lot of the brands that we work with that are moving into the digital space, online video and YouTube is the first platform that they look into because they're typically very, TV heavy advertisers, and they're completely lacking a search strategy. And can you tell us a bit more about how do you think about search for brands at Generator and what are the results that you're seeing?
Yeah, sure. So it's interesting because a lot of these branding related clients, they don't see paid search as really a tactic that's relevant to them. It's usually those more DR clients that are, want those last click conversions that invest heavily there. But one thing that we try to bring to the table as an agency and make them aware of is if they're doing all the heavy lifting and investment and heavy investment of the branding type tactics like online video and TV, it's extremely important that, if they're going to lift the interest and queries that come in on Google, as we saw with the DPA example, that they're there to capture that interest and they're at the top of the search results pages and they're not being sniped off by their competitors who are trying to outbid them, or in some cases, don't even need to outbid them because there's no competition because the advertisers don't want to be there to begin with.
Right. And I think you mentioned some pretty interesting examples from your mobile campaigns that you ran for one of your accounts.
Yeah. So this has been the case for many clients, but one that really stands out for me is a brand we've worked with for, I think, 4 or 5 years, Jenny Craig. It's a very competitive vertical, the diet and weight loss industry, and fierce competition from people like Weight Watchers and Nutrisystem. And one of the things we've seen increasingly every year is the competition in the search results increase. So one of those competitors in particular really likes to jack up the CPCs on our keywords and try to be above us in the search results pages. And on desktop, we found that for us to be number 2 position isn't necessarily that detrimental. It's not always worth creating the bidding war, although it is sometimes. But on mobile, on the flip side, for us to not own that top position is pretty catastrophic to driving traffic to our website. And in the case of this campaign, the goal was to drive people to the landing page and book an appointment. And those appointments are critical for new membership and the success of the business. So a little thing people might not think of, not everyone is necessarily looking at search performance, device, average position, share of voice, but these are critical things to understand, made a huge impact for this client.
Oftentimes you plan your search campaigns together with your marketing campaigns, which I thought was interesting, and not many agencies do that. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, sure. So it's a good point because most agencies or companies probably wouldn't group paid search in the same sentence as remarketing. They're very different in terms of the types of creative you use and the types of messaging. Really everything across the board is different. But where they're similar is that they're both channels that serve to kind of recapture and keep in the interest that you've drove from higher funnel. So in the case of paid search, you're showing someone a video, they're searching for you, you need to be there. You're there. Search is a CPC tactic where you drive to the website. You then do the work of getting people to your website. Most people don't convert on the first shot. For a client to have an over 10% conversion rate, pretty much unheard of. So you have 90% of your people who are leaving, they're considering it, they're looking at other things, they're browsing. You need to continue to hit those people with advertisements. Not necessarily banners. You can remarket on YouTube, you can remarket on social media, you can even remarket in search now through RLSAs. So we use remarketing as a way to keep people in the funnel and capitalize on the hard work that we're already doing and the investment of branding.
And remarketing brings me to my next question, which is about data. And I know for a lot of the traditional brands, it's been a challenge to find the best way to use their own data to better reach their users. So what's been your approach when it comes to using first-party customer data at Generator?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. I think with a lot of our clients, we see 2 situations. The first is they don't understand that they have first-party data, which is seldom the case. And the second is that they think they need to enter into this super complex, complicated, confusing, and daunting situation of bringing on a DMP or a data warehouse or some of those intense things, which really are not the case. Really all we need from them would be an Excel file of email addresses or phone numbers, and we're able to do a lot with that data. And in the case of people who don't understand that they have it, some examples of what they may have is past customers, people who've opted into lead forms, people who've maybe started through a checkout process on their site and dropped off partway. These are all people we could use. Another example that everyone has to have is current customers. There's a lot we can do with lists of current customers that you may not want to spend money on targeting again to suppress them from media buys, which we've seen increase efficiency and how we're able to use that investment significantly. We actually recently ran a test for a brand where we ran remarketing as per usual, and then we ran a second remarketing segment that suppressed current customers. And it actually increased efficiency and CPA by about 10 to 20% because we were reducing waste.
Excellent. So can you tell me a bit more about the tactics that you're using once you have access to the first-party data?
Yeah, so next misconception about first-party data. People think email addresses, and they think that means that they can only use them to email people, which is not the case at all. We can reach people across social media networks, Facebook, Twitter. We can use Google Customer Match to reach them in a number of environments, including paid search. We can target people specifically there. We can target them in their Gmail inbox and on YouTube, which has been extremely successful for us.
Excellent. Well, Jenna, thanks so much for answering all of those questions. Before we go, and 2017 is upon us, it's mid-December, I wanted to ask you what you think are some of the biggest trends that you're seeing coming for the next year, and what do they mean for you as an agency and for your clients?
Sure. So there's two major shifts that we see happening. They're not necessarily new, but they're going to continue to happen. The first is really the shift to programmatic. There's a lot of things and ways that we would buy 5 years ago that are different than how we buy now. Talking about insertion orders and ad networks, not really the case anymore when you have DSPs and you're able to do things like private marketplace deals and programmatic guaranteed. Do I think insertion orders are going to go away completely? By no means, they never will. But it's important, and we've been doing a lot of investing internally to build out our programmatic team and have those capabilities ready to our clients, which actually saves them a ton of money because they're not paying like additional management fees for outsourcing some of those buys. So that's the first one. The second one, really similar, slightly different, is the continued move to automation and things that are happening in technology right now. There's so many things that computers can do that, they can do more efficiently and better with less margin for error than people. So we've also been investing heavily as an agency and spending a lot of time and effort on finding ways to not have people try to do the work of computers. It benefits no one. It's not scalable. What we feel is best for our clients at the end of the day is to have our media planners and strategists planning and doing strategy versus crunching numbers and doing a lot of automated stuff that really there's no need for. So coming into this next year, our agency is going to have a pretty big facelift in terms of some of our processes, which we feel puts us very far ahead of the curve and we're excited about.
Great. Well, maybe next year this interview will be hosted by a robot. And with that, Jenna, thank you so much for coming in such a busy holiday season. And thanks everyone for watching.